Hey, before I kick off the podcast, I just want to shout out Next Door Clothing. Next Door, a clothing brand based out of Bondi in Sydney. They're making really nice jeans and shirts and hats. So go and check out their full range at nextdoorsydney.com. They're also artists, so you can go and check out a range of art. They put on rad parties, and I love what they're doing. So nextdoorsydney.com for the full range.
Tried to hold us back, tried to hold us back.
We will be here forever. Do you understand? Forever and ever and ever and ever. We will be here.
Hey, it's Shan here. Shout out to Death Wish Cast for that intro music. This week, I speak with professional skateboarder, dog owner, and all-round kind human. It's Mr. Ben Currie. Ben is a super impressive guy. I spent the weekend with him and I was just blown away, firstly by his elite level of skateboarding ability, but also by his personality traits, and they're ones of kindness, humility, compassionate. He's very well spoken. He articulates his ideas well. And I kind of feel like when you combine those elements with his skateboarding ability, just kind of gives him this X factor. In my opinion, he had like an air of X factor about him. I knew I was hanging with someone special. Now, Ben shares about his life so far. He talks about his early days growing up in Melbourne, and he's very open about the loss of his father at the tender age of 13 years old. Ben delves into how he was using that grief as a motivational force when he was feeling fearful or scared to try certain tricks. Sometimes he said he still taps into it. So I found that very interesting, and we discuss it a little. Ben also talks about his new sponsors. He makes some observations about the skate industry, talks about the modern day skate park etiquette conundrum, which was pretty funny, but also I reckon needs to be talked about given the onset of all these amazing skate parks around the country. Ben also delves into the positive influence he found in Andrew Mapstone. And this was, in his younger days and, post passing of his father, and how, Andrew Mapstone was so, I guess, influential on his development, not only in skateboarding, but as a human being, which was just really nice. We were recording live at his property in northern Sydney on the outskirts of the Currie Chase National Park. His dog Brutus was cruising around, jumping on the equipment, chewing on his dog pillow. It's pretty funny. And past guest Peanut sits in as guest co-host this week. So that was fun. And it's a nice episode, and I really hope you get to enjoy the life of Ben Currie so far. And as always, it's dedicated to my children, Clementine and Otis, and I hope they find the same inspiration I found. So enjoy.
Child of the crayon, child of the light, styles of the neon belong to a culture destined to rock for eons. Time doesn't exist, shut those cataracts, capture the virtualist. Now, let's get back to what makes things seem forever, whether it's unseen, unheard, or it's 16 again. Not a bother, fill this old man river, kill a floor that gives all. Coming upstream, quiver, six style, easy rock, drop.
Yeah, Peanut was just there on one of those sessions, and we just clicked straight away. Yeah. And then found out that we have more in common than we realized. He's obviously toured with Mapstone and worked with Volcom a lot back in the day, and Andrew helped me out a lot, got me on vans, and I've had a pretty strong relationship with him. And once we sort of realized that we had a bit in common, and similar traits, similar.
Has it helped relocating to a new area, having maybe someone who's a little bit older to be a mentor to you?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, Peanut's made me feel like I'm at home being in Sydney. It's rad. You have your friends that you meet in skateboarding, but skating's kind of the only thing you have in common, and that's all you do together, But really clicked with Peanut more on a personal level than a lot of other people when I first moved here. And
on a personal level? What do you mean?
Just in terms of being friends, just getting along, as a person, rather than just looking at him like, oh, he skates, I'll hang out with him because he skates. I was like, I actually like Peanut for the person that he is and enjoy being around him. And, you know, he's like,
thanks, man.
He has helped me a lot and made me feel real comfortable in Sydney. So very grateful to him, among others, of course. But, there's been moments where Peanut's helped get me through while I've been here, and when I haven't been sure if I'm going to stay here or not, you know, thinking about going back to Melbourne, like, do I just fucking give this up and go back? And then, moments with Peanut, support from him, and, you know, it goes a long way, and it's helped me a lot. He's helped me.
Do you mind if I pry a little? When have you found it challenging? What things have made you feel that way?
One time, I went through an ankle surgery up here, so that was one big thing. So, you know, time where I can't skate, can't work, can't really do anything. And that was a big moment. Another one was definitely like when I broke up with my girlfriend, when I was sort of, you know, like I sort of told you earlier, I got stuck with that apartment. I had to sort of move real quick and figure out what I was going to do. Luckily, I had that friend up here that I could stay with to sort of reset, but even throughout that time, I was still sort of thinking like, do I even stick this out? Do I just go back and fucking do what I know? But, you know, the motivation and support from Peanut has definitely like kept me on the same path and kept me motivated on what I'm doing. And what other times? I mean, even just in this recent time when I moved out here, you know, he was the only person that helped me. Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I've always craved older male role models.
Yeah.
Like I just need it as a man.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
And I found them.
Yep.
But it took many years to find that.
Yeah. Well, I guess...
so my question is that, are you someone who feels like they need an older male in their life?
Well, I guess so. I mean, after my dad passed away, then that was definitely a void that, you know, without even being aware of it, it is a void that's there, and you are sort of looking for that guidance and that sort of inspiration, I guess. And initially, because I sort of mentioned Andrew Mapstone, quite close with him, I met him when I was about 16, so only maybe 3 years after my dad had passed away. And I definitely feel like he was like that guy for me. Even still now, you know, we're still super close. But throughout those years, I don't even think I really told him about my dad or what my situation was for like a few years until after we were quite close. But almost instantly I sort of looked at him that way because he was super motivated, cared about the same stuff that I did, and I really respected that he was like sober and just 100% focused on the shit that he wanted to do. Like when he worked 110%. When he went skating, skated 110%, like always keen to shoot photos. And then he was like cycling at the same time, winning cycling races and killing it as a dad and a husband and everything, you know? So he was definitely someone that I looked at with like great inspiration and respect, you know? So he helped me a lot. Like I don't think I would be the same person that I am without meeting him.
And just to interject, sorry, excuse me. I'd known Ben for about a year, maybe even a year and a half before we even knew the connection with Andrew Mapstone. And I remember thinking, why do I get along with you so much? Because there is a bit of an age gap and whatnot.
Yeah.
And like and just to shout out to Jason Morris that does Dunga Days. We were shooting for those quite a lot, Dunga Days. And so if you want to see all the stuff we got up to, then that's search those out. But yeah, like from packing a boot to the music you like to just the littlest things, I could see Mapstone in you, but I at that stage hadn't known.
No, that's right. Yeah, it didn't come out
and
until
then when
later.
you broke that, like it was after a long day skateboarding at a pub where you said that you told me that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, that's what
that
it's
makes
about.
sense why we get along. So yeah, because obviously you spend a lot of time with him, and he is just that sort of dude that like his attitude and demeanor rubs off on you so easily, you know.
And I spent a good 8 years with him, so that to fill in that part of the story. So I was like, why do I like this guy, and why am I so familiar with certain traits? You know?
Yeah.
So.
I know it's a heavy way to start, but it has come up. And I am curious to know How old were you when your father passed away?
I was 13, just about to turn 14.
Pretty delicate age.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
And a lot of people do experience that deep grief. You know, I experienced the loss of my father a couple of years ago, like right in the middle of the pandemic. It was a very hard time.
Of course.
Do you mind if I ask, aside from finding mentors like Andrew Mapstone, which is awesome, I mean, how else did you manage that grief initially as a 13-year-old?
I had a counselor at my high school,
Right.
and she was amazing. She was awesome. Like initially, I didn't really feel open enough to talk about it. Like I didn't even really open up to my family at all, ever. But she just made me feel real comfortable, real welcome. Like she was just amazing at her job. Like I couldn't have asked for anyone better to talk to and have that support from. So she helped me a lot, like a real lot. And I would see her once a week for, you know, probably the first year or two after it had happened, after he passed. I would see her like once a week, and that was great. But the best advice that she gave me, because by that point I was already like a dedicated skateboarder, you know, I lived and breathed it by that point. And she recognized that, and I expressed that to her pretty heavily. And the best advice she gave me, she's like, just do that. She's like, if you feel good when you skate and you can escape, you know, the grief and the feeling that you're like feeling right now, just do that as much as you can. And that's exactly what I did. And that really, that was my outlet, you know, that was the only time where I was able to escape that grief and that overwhelming feeling that you really can't put into words, you know. It's such a traumatic thing for someone to go through at such a young age. And like, I was really lucky that my family were incredibly supportive. Like my brother, my sister, my younger brother, my mum, we were all like, it's a massive contributor of all those things, you know, the counselor, my skating, my awesome family. Like I could easily have spiraled and taken it, you know, as bad as a lot of people do, and potentially not have actually grown into being someone that has what I like to think I have my shit together, you know, but it's a big enough thing to really send someone down the wrong path. And if you don't have skating and you don't have like a strong, not even necessarily that it has to be skating, but for me it was skating. But if you don't have like a passion and something that you can really harness your energy into, among as well as having, you know, a great support network around you, you could just fall off the deep end so fucking easily, you know? Yeah. So I was really fortunate in that regard that I had, the best sort of support around me that I could have, like awesome friends, awesome family, skateboarding, you know, the counselor, everything was exactly what I needed, and I'm really fortunate for that.
Yeah, man. Right on, brother. Right on.
Yeah, proper.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know, man. Just time and time again, I hear this. It just saves so many people, like myself included. You know, like you hear a lot of. I mean, the common one with skateboarders is dealing with divorced family.
Yep.
And effectively, it's a separation of family, just in another way.
Yeah. Yep.
Would you say that it's this freedom that skateboarding has, where it's not regulated as well? So it's an activity. But there's no real rules to how it's done. And I remember Peanut said it in his episode. He was like, I didn't have to be at a training.
Yep.
But I had this thing I could spend a lot of energy on.
Yep.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that was it exactly. It's like I could do it, and I did do it every single night, you know? And it wasn't, you know, just for those 2 hours when training was on like a normal sport would be. Like I could go skating until the lights go out, or even still I would skate until it's dark or whatever, you know? I can do it whenever, wherever I want. And, essentially that's exactly what I did. And I do agree with that. The fact that, you know, you can do it on your own. You can do it just out the front of your house. It doesn't matter where you are. And the best thing about it is, like, for me, in that moment, like, there wasn't really even a second where I'm thinking about, sorry.
It's all right.
If he jumps up, do you want to be the
We've got some
guy?
dog.
Yeah,
We've got
Is
dog.
that right?
Ben's dog is trying to climb on the equipment.
Brutus.
Yeah, sorry, keep going, Ben, because that was really interesting. Well, got him.
Thanks, bro.
So cute, though.
So for me, in that time, skateboarding was the only time where I was able not to feel that way, you know, because when you skate, it is like a form of meditation. You can't afford to be thinking about other things or worrying about what else is going on, because then you just get hurt. You're not focused on what you're doing. So for me, that's what it was. Even though, you know, I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm going to meditate. That's, looking back on it now, that's exactly what it was. It was the only way that I could not feel that way.
Well, we've kind of ascertained the fact that you're a good skateboarder.
Thank you.
We kind of worked that out, you know,
Appreciate
over the years. And even yesterday, where you basically filmed a whole video part at a skate park, but it was a whole video part of bangers in one afternoon.
Thank you.
My question is, though, do you think you would have been as good at skateboarding if it wasn't for that difficult?
I definitely think about that for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
It's really hard to say.
Okay.
I think it's really hard to say. If I dedicated the same amount of time and energy into it, then I don't see any reason why I wouldn't have been as good. But I also think that if my dad was still here, maybe at some point there might have been more push against skateboarding, you know, from him. Maybe in terms of like, this isn't a true career path. Like, it's awesome that you have a passion. And he was as supportive as I could ever hope for. Like, he loved it, even though he was more of like a team sport sort of guy. He played footy and cricket and was right into that, and would have loved for me to do that. But he didn't care that I didn't, you know. He loved that I loved skateboarding, and he would take me to comps like all over Victoria. He didn't care. He was super down for it. But he was also like he was like a banker. So he was in like the whole corporate world, and he took it serious, like, you know, get an education, get a serious career, that sort of thing. So that's where I sort of wonder that if I didn't go through that, how far would I have pushed skating in that regard? Like, I think that my skill level and everything is still there, and the potential is still there, but whether I would have pursued it and actually put as much time and effort into it, I'm not sure. But I do definitely think that the trauma and the pain that I went through from that was a huge motivation for me in skating, because when you're like progressing and you're trying difficult tricks, the biggest thing that holds you back is like the fear of getting hurt. But for me, at that point in time, from when I was like 16 till I was obviously straight away from when it happened, but when I got good enough to really like harness it from maybe age 16 until I was maybe 22, 23, like, I did not give a fuck about getting hurt at all. It didn't matter what the spot was, like, nothing in my head. Like, I would be at a spot like trying to psych myself up, and I would just tell myself, like, it doesn't matter if you fucking slam at the bottom and you break yourself. It's not going to hurt as much as what you've been through. So just fucking go for it. And I would like literally like be rolling at a spot and like telling myself that at the approach, like before I even have the first attempt, when your heart is fucking thumping and you're trying to get yourself into that mode to just go for it. It was quite easy for me to do it because I had that sort of fuel in my head, you know. There was nothing was going to stop me from trying something that I could see myself being able to do, you know. So in that regard, that's the only positive I can really take from it, is the fact that it just fueled me. It really fueled me to just go hard and not hold back in any way.
You didn't have the madness, I guess, you know, like when you roll up to a spot.
I mean, I definitely still had my moments for sure. Like, certain spots will still do that to you, but I'd say for the most part, there wouldn't really be too many times where I would get to a spot and leave without trying it, you know, because I just could really... And once I worked out that worked, then I just use that all the time. Yeah. Yeah.
So interesting.
I still do, to be honest. Yeah. For certain tricks, if I'm like, you know, really just trying to psych myself up to actually just attempt it the first time, I can like, I can put myself in the exact same frame of mind that I felt when I was like 14.
Wow, that's interesting.
And it'll feel the same, and I can fuel myself the same way. I can like really tap into it. It's crazy. Because I was just going to say that no matter how much time goes on, like, the feeling of that grief never goes away, you know? You can learn to deal with it easier, and you can come to terms with it. But if you really like just sit down and think about what you've been through and, you know, how devastating it is, you can still harness that feeling
Yeah.
And you're using
very
it.
easily. Yeah.
Harnessing the pain
You
is a
think-
really positive way.
Yeah. Would you consider it positive, the fact that you're still using it? Like, because I'm questioning how healthy it is.
Well, it's not like I do it all the time.
Okay. Only when it's like something that's.
If I'm like
gnarly.
scared to try a trick, then
Okay.
yeah, maybe I'll sort of use it. But I'm not like going around thinking it like everyday task or whatever. Like I would say by the time I was 18, 19, I was like, I had come to terms and I was content with the fact that my dad wasn't with me anymore, you know? And
What scares you now?
spiders. Fucking hate spiders.
Out here?
Yeah, I know. I'm waiting for a big encounter.
Yeah. Okay. And what scares you? What scares you in skating? Like, obviously, big stairs and rails are an obvious one.
Definitely, I have like shifted the approach of the sort of spots that I like to skate since that time anyway. So at that point in time, like I was really focused on trying to do the biggest shit that I could, purely because I maybe was closer attached to that feeling, you know, and maybe almost used it as a sense of, I wouldn't say it's like self-destructive, but it was just in that sort of neighborhood where I didn't care about getting hurt. And that's when I would fuel it, because all I could see was the trick in front of me and this giant obstacle that I wanted to conquer. Whereas now, like, I'm not as motivated on like big rails and big spots and that sort of shit. So I don't need to harness that feeling anymore, because
Why aren't you as motivated to do the big stuff?
probably just the amount of injuries that I've been through. Yeah, and just trying to just sustain feeling good and not just skate a big spot for the sake of getting one gnarly clip or being broke off for fucking 2 months.
Yeah.
When you were younger and doing big shit, in the back of your mind, were you thinking, this is going to get me sponsored, this is going to thrust me into skate stardom?
I guess so. I guess it was some part of motivation as well.
How's that changed over the years?
I guess maybe it did help, because that was the time where I was sort of striving to get that sort of recognition. So I guess maybe once you sort of get your name on the map and you're sort of on people's radar, there's not as much expectation to be doing the gnarliest shit, because they can just look at a video and see that you've done it, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily want to be the guy that just does a fucking big Smith grind every video part and a big 5-0, like doing the same tricks on repeat on the same sort of obstacles. It's just like, what's the point? You've already done it. And then what? You've just got to chase an extra step every single time. Like, I don't know. To me, it just gets a bit repetitive. So I'm sort of in a frame of mind where I'm trying to skate spots that I haven't sort of skated before, or learning tricks that I haven't done before, and just looking for new ways to approach it, I think.
Peanut, you've been around for a long time. Not that you're that old, but you've been surrounded by the industry for a long time, and you've seen really good skaters come up. You've even scouted really good skaters like Dustin Dolan, you know. What do you feel like Ben has compared to what you've seen in the past?
What's crazy is there's 3 different dynamics in that question, and that's time. So it's definitely a different time now, and I think we've touched on the fact that skateboarding has progressed quite a lot since even back then. But then there's also there's good skateboarders everywhere, right? And then there's also skateboarders that can play the game on both sides. And one thing that I noticed about you, even just first meeting you before I knew you even knew Mapstone, was like how psyched you were on skating, you know, like, and you need that part of the energy, but you also need to be psyched on skating and leaving your own neighborhood, you know, and you'd already tick that box. And then I was just like, then you've got like, you know, you're confident, and then, you know, and then you've got the style and skill and yada yada, that the markability outside of that. So to answer that, it's hard to compare with people back then because they had less tricks. That, you know, the trick choice was easier back then to make, you know, to be impressive, whereas now it's so hard. That being said, but one thing I love about you is like your form. I think Mapstone and I both love it, is just like the way I'd rather see someone perfect a trick and like lean into it like it's just second nature and put style to it rather than just hang on to it. And you can, if you've seen the intro to this, you can see that you can string a couple of tricks together and they're solid and they got style, and there's a smile you get on your face, I think. And that's what you're looking for. Like even the Suskies and the Jakes, they're pretty much smiling with a tongue out their mouth. You know what I mean? Like when they're skating and they're in their zone, and you can get to that level. Darren for sure gets to that level.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when you feel that, and you can kind of weigh up the markability and then the confidence and all that, I think you kind of just had it more. I remember thinking it was so hard to get prima donnas out onto the scene just to skate, and you've paid for a plane ticket, you're paying for, hotel rooms and whatnot, and they won't even get out.
Yeah.
They've been too busy drinking.
Yeah.
And then you got people like Ben that like would scream at the chance to be able to, not mention names, but I had team riders after Let's Live call me going, I didn't realize what you were trying to do for me, and now I know, and sorry for being such an asshole kind of thing. And sorry for making it so hard. I didn't realize that's what you're trying, but you wouldn't take that for granted, so that's a big plus too. But yeah.
I've said this to you numerous times, Ben, over the last few days. Like a lot of skaters, it seems like they're moving to Melbourne from Sydney to Melbourne, but you've done the opposite.
Yep.
So, what motivated that decision?
So when I moved, up until the time I moved, I was still living at home with my mum in the same house that I grew up in.
Yep.
She hadn't even moved, so I was still just living where I had always known. So I would that was one thing where I was just ready to move out, ready for a change of scenery, ready to live on my own or be more independent at least. And I had also at that time just broken up with what was my first girlfriend in Melbourne. So that was something where I was just like, all of these things. And then plus I was also doing a bit of work with Totem Skateboarding coming up and just doing like events here and there where they sort of had a budget for like, say, talent. I would come in and do like a demo and then sort of slowly built the rapport and relationship with them. And then pretty much at the time when, so I had quit my job, which I had done for 5.5 years or whatever. I was doing turf maintenance, like working on golf courses and football ovals and lawn bowls, all that shit, operating machinery. But like I said, I did it for about 5 years. So I was at a point where I felt like, and there was no like qualification that came with it or anything either. I was just like a laborer essentially. So I was like, I don't think I'm going to do this job for the rest of my life. So I feel like if I'm going to leave and try and do something else, essentially what I had in mind was like, I'm going to find a way to work in the skateboarding industry. That's what I was adamant about. And I was even applying, even just at distros to just get warehouse work. I had an interview at Accent Group with like one of their maintenance teams. It was like a role sort of doing like maintenance and organizing like the shop fit outs for all their stores and that sort of thing. So I was just looking for any way into the industry, essentially. I was like, at that point, I was already content with like, not necessarily chase it. Like I was going to skate and be as passionate as I always would be with it, but I wasn't, by that time, I was kind of like, I'm probably not going to make a living out of skateboarding. I was already...
So you feel like you learned that early on?
Yeah, very early. So
is that disheartening?
Maybe a little bit, but I think it's actually better not expecting that or chasing that, because then you're not disappointed, and I'm not doing it because I'm chasing this dream. I'm doing it because I fucking love it and I want to do the best that I can do, not I want to do tricks that are going to impress these people and whatever. Like I just want to do the best that I can do, and if people like it, then sick, but that's not why I'm doing it, But I was still like, and that's why I was like, if I can't get paid to do tricks, maybe I can get paid in the industry at least and still be involved and be a part of it. So that was sort of what I was chasing. And then, the work with Totem was sort of coming and it was picking up a little bit. And then all of these factors kind of hit at once. I was like, I'd quit my job, broken up with my girlfriend, ready to move out of home. And then working with Totem up here, they hit me up at this time and they said, we're quite busy. If you were willing to make the move, like we've got enough work for you. So it was a no-brainer. I just like threw what I could fit in my car and I just drove up here. I didn't actually have a place to live lined up yet. I was just staying on like a couple people's couches. Nigel, the boss, one of them. I was staying at his house, and then after I think maybe 3 weeks of like couch surfing, I moved into a share house in Waterloo, and that was a fucking nightmare just with randoms. And like it wasn't like it felt like no one considered it like a home. It was just like a house where 4 people lived and none of them gave a shit about it. It was fucking filthy when I moved in there. I cleaned the whole place, like bathroom, kitchen, backyard, everything. Didn't even get like a thank you or any acknowledgement for it. I was like, fuck this, I'm out of here. I moved out. Like,
Welcome to Sydney.
Yeah, I think I moved out like 4 weeks after moving in. I was
Yes.
like,
What suburb?
in Waterloo.
Oh, Waterloo.
Yeah.
Right.
But it was a dope spot, dope location, and sick house if you had people that cared about it. But it was not good. So I moved out of there, after like a month, and that was when I moved in with Liam Carl in Dulwich Hill, and that's who I met Peanut and all the crew through from there. So essentially that covers the reason why I'm here. And there's been some testing times since I've been here that have made me question whether I want to stay or if I would go back to Melbourne. And I'm still here for now. So
I mean, you touched on those things.
Yeah.
I must say, like, you got to factor in the whole COVID thing and like what you're trying to do and how the last 4 or 5 years have been a lot harder to do.
Yeah.
To do what you're like. Getting that.
Oh,
job in
totally.
the
I
industry,
mean,
like the industry's changed itself. You know? So there was so many things.
But yeah, COVID hit like 6 months after I moved here.
Yeah.
And all our work stopped. So that was a pretty crazy time.
You never considered, I know you couldn't do it through COVID and that, but you never considered like taking on the States, like moving to USA and...
Moving? Nah. But I've been there a few times.
But never thought about trying to like, give it a go over there and take that path that...
the first time I went was from... it was actually a Volcom competition, funnily enough, Wild in the Parts. It was like a spin-off from the Wild in the Parks competitions where it was like a submit footage.
Yuto's first time going to the States was for that too.
Oh, really?
For the comp?
Found out today, yeah.
Oh,
for
you
Wild in
did
the
that for you
Parks.
with you. Oh, okay.
But this one was like a footage submission
Oh,
one.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, not actually like a competition.
Yeah.
So like I submitted this, it was like a minute, you submit a minute of footage and then the winner got this Volcom trip to the States and I won. Right. So I went with them and it was sick. Like, we went to LA, we were there for a few days and then we road tripped from LA to Austin. And then that went for like 2 weeks and then I had a couple friends that were already, he was actually living there. He still lives there, my mate Tin Bum, Nick Clark from regional Victoria. And I went and stayed with him down in, he lives like Carlsbad.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I went and stayed with him and did like the remaining 2.5 months down there. And it was sick. I mean, if I was given an opportunity from a company to be like, hey, do you want to move and live here and skate here? I would probably do it, but I don't think I could live there on my own accord. Like,
you wouldn't try and just transplant there?
Nah, I didn't like it there enough, to be honest. Like, especially in California, like, fuck. I thought it was a bit of
it's a mission.
It's a bit of a war zone.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. I mean, it's a cool experience and it's cool to check out the spots and whatever, but even just the culture and everything there, it's just... And the scenery and everything, it's just not as nice. Like but in saying that, I haven't seen all of the US. There might be certain parts of the US where I go, damn, this place is rad. Like Austin was sick.
I can't believe, that was my next question. Like, did you go to Austin, Texas?
Yeah.
Is it rad?
Austin was fucking dope.
Go there.
Yeah, I would recommend it. It was, that was probably one of the best spots on the trip for sure. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, it was cool. And we spent probably the most time there. I think we probably spent a week in Austin.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it was sick. And obviously there's heaps of good spots and everything there, but it's like, there's good spots here too.
Yeah.
Like...
And the game's changed.
Yeah.
You don't need to move there to get exposure.
That's it. But like I said, like if the opportunity arose and I was given the chance to be like, hey, like we'll pay you if you want to live here and skate, then I would fucking jump on that with a heartbeat. But I guess, like I sort of said, like I sort of came to terms with the fact that I probably wasn't going to make a living out of skateboarding like fairly early, like by the time I was probably 23.
Well, how'd you figure that out? You could just see.
I could just see how fucking hard and like what a long shot it was, you know? And I don't know what like if there was a defining moment that it happened, but I guess the other thing was like, which I'm sure a lot of people experience, like, because I was skateboarding from like 4 years old is when I started. So as long as I can remember, I've been skating. And, you know, when you're a kid, people are like, oh, what are you going to be when you're older? And my thing was always, I'm going to be a pro skater. I'm going to be a pro skater. And every time you say that, they go, oh, well, that's not realistic. You know, that's not going to happen. And obviously people hear that and they still achieve it and get through or whatever. But when you hear that a lot, like, it's hard for it not to sort of sink in a little bit and sort of be a bit of a reality check, you know? So maybe I took that more literally than other people, but it definitely didn't, like, dampen my motivation in any way, you know? But then I guess the other thing is, like, obviously I rode for XEN for a long time, and, like, I was given the chance to, like, have my own graphics and that sort of shit. So when that sort of happened, I was like, I'm stoked if I don't go any further than this, because this is an opportunity that even a lot of people, a lot of amazing skateboarders that deserve to be professional never get the chance to have their name on a board, you know? And as a kid, like, that was the dream, you know? Not like I want to make $1 million out of skateboarding. It was like I want to have my name on a board and I want to be, you know, skating at an amazing level. And once I sort of got the board, like, I was content with whatever sort of happened from there, even though I didn't make any money out of that or anything.
You're just like, okay, I've ticked that.
Yeah. Nice. And like, yeah, from that point I didn't really, and still, like, I don't care if it goes any further than that or if I get more support or whatever. Like, it's just,
I can tell.
Yeah. I'm pretty content with where I'm at.
It ain't over till the fat lady sings, they say.
Yeah.
I feel like you're getting better, to be honest. Like,
I feel like I'm skating the best that I've ever skated, for sure.
And refined, you know, like, it's kind of like, and even when I think we watched that Sheckler doco, you know, like, it's kind of like that archetype of when you're young and rubbery, you're throwing yourself hardcore, and then a few injuries start slowing you down, maybe slightly, but then you're a bit. Then you're refining. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel you're at that stage, and that's like that.
Well, I guess, like, when you're younger too, you're sort of trying to emulate, like, the skater that you want to be. You're like, like, for me, like, Andrew Reynolds was always my, like, Reynolds and Rowley and Ardo, these dudes that just skate the biggest shit, you know?
Yeah.
And then after you're trying to follow those steps, you're sort of trying to to live up to what they've sort of paved, and then you go through these injuries and these, like, little setbacks, and you're just like, well, I can understand why they keep doing it, because they're fucking getting paid to do it, but I got to go to work, you know? Yeah. And it's like, I can't be going to work when I'm busted up every week, you know? So then I had to sort of, like, slow it down and obviously not skate any less, but just skate spots that aren't going to destroy me for fucking 3 weeks every time.
Smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
How did you fall in? Oh my God, excuse me.
Right.
I'm out here in the bush. I'm getting, like, allergies and stuff. Such a city dweller. How did you fall into that line of work?
That first job that I had? My brother actually dated the boss's daughter. And so
there you go.
Yeah, and my brother, he was like, he became pretty good mates with the boss as well. And when my brother was in between jobs, he actually worked for him as well. And then it was like, I think I had just, you right?
No, I'm so sorry. Wow, that never happens.
You right?
Keep going, yeah.
Could be the hay fever, mate. Just quickly, I wanted to ask you this before. How old are your brothers and sisters?
My older brother is like 34. My sister would be 36, and my younger brother would be 22.
Yeah, got you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But my younger brother has a different mum. My younger brother has been through, like, I've been through trauma. He's been through worse. So my dad repartnered with my stepmom Sandy when I was about 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. My mum and dad split up when I was 3. And then they repartnered, and then they had my brother James when I was 6.
Yeah.
And then so when my dad passed away, my younger brother was only 7. And then when he was about 14, my stepmom passed away as well.
Oh, no.
So my younger brother's lost both of his parents.
Jeez.
And then when that happened, my older brother Nathan and his partner Emma, they like stepped up and they were his guardians. So they essentially raised him from like 14 to 18, 19 when they still lived with him. So
are you close to him? Do you?
Yeah.
Yep. So he would look up to you as a mentor, so to speak, in many ways.
In some ways, yeah. Possibly, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Obviously, my older brother Nathan, he's been in his life a lot more than I have.
Yeah.
Because he lived with him and he was raising him, so he'd probably almost look at my older brother a bit more in that way.
Yeah.
Probably knows my older brother better.
Yeah.
Especially in the last 4 years, like I've probably only spent a few hours with my family. You know, if you add it all up, maybe there's been like 2 full days that we've spent together. If you sort of accumulate all the time we've spent together in the last few years. But yeah, he's been through the fucking wars, so he's an absolute soldier to come out of it. And if you met him, you would never have any idea of what he's been through. You know, he's super happy, he's super positive. He's got his shit together. He's studying. He's smart.
Awesome.
Like he's switched on. If you met him, you would never know what he's been through. It's just
It's amazing how resilient. It's amazing how resilient some people can be.
Yeah.
Would you say, like, even though your parents separated when you were so young, did you still have an evenly close relationship with both parents?
Yeah, definitely.
So they managed it well?
Yeah, they managed it real well. Even when, like, there may have been maybe there was, like, a couple, like, month periods where, like, it was at a point where they wouldn't talk and they would pull up and it'd be like, get out of that car, get in that car, but they're not gonna talk. But it might have been about something in particular that was going on at that time, but that was not the nature of their relationship for that whole period of their separation. Like they were really good at keeping it good and amicable.
They didn't project it on you at all.
Not
use
at all.
You guys as weapons.
Never.
Yeah, right.
No.
Cool.
That's nice.
So like, and I think because they did split when I was so young, like for as long as I can't even remember a time of them being together. So I don't think there was any form of like the separation impacting me in a negative way. Like I was fine with it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to hear. It's so common. It's just, like I've said this a few times on the podcast, I was so oblivious to how common it really was.
Yeah.
You know, it is. And
absolutely.
so many people do navigate it well and survive it well, but we only hear about the negative stories in regards to it.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's something that is close to my heart because, like, I've been a child of divorce as well.
Yep.
And then also now a divorcee.
Yep.
I didn't realise the impact on people's mental health that it can have so dramatically, but on both sides, like from childhood then through to your adult years.
Yeah.
But I don't know. My immediate, observation of you is that you're quite, like a solid, even-tempered sort of young man. Do you get that a lot?
Yeah, I try to be, but like I definitely have my moments with like if I'm filming or whatever, like I can still I can
Tantrum?
snap. Yeah.
Tantrum?
Not a full blown. I don't know. Have you ever seen me have a full blown tantrum, Peanut?
Only at yourself, kind of, but
But I don't think I fully spit the dummy as hard as some people.
No, not at all. But like, what's funny?
But
is
I do get angry.
Like I remember it was a few times where you're throwing yourself down some big stuff. Maybe even the 6th time.
No.
And like I've seen you get up and like just like you, I thought, oh yeah, this guy's a sterling young gentleman, he's super nice and he's always smiling. And then he like this other look, like the warrior side, the person he could have been, just saying when he gets up and he's pissed off, like it's like there's no one like I think a cop may have came like sometimes, you know what I mean? Like I've seen you.
Yeah, I definitely have that switch.
Like if that was the first time you saw him, but it's like rad. It's fucking rad. It's like there's the warrior in him. It's a type thing. But other than that, never off the wall.
And it has such an impact when someone like that, like Sam, we were talking about Sam Giles, so even-tempered and kind.
Yep.
But then when it comes down to it, just a savage.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it just comes from like, you just want that trick so fucking bad, It's like, I know I can do this. Like, it literally is. It's just, you're angry at yourself. That's all it is. Yeah. Like, I'm not really getting angry at the spot or like going, oh, my fucking board's this or that or whatever. It's just, it's me. Yeah. And then it's just a battle with myself.
Yeah.
Watching skating with you yesterday, aside from like you know, the amazing tricks you were getting, I was really impressed by like your elite level of fitness. Like it was quite a high level of fitness. Like you skated hard for hours right to the very end. Do you do any training for that or outside of skateboarding?
Yeah, in like the last, I think I've been training for maybe just over a year now with Dan, who does skateboard strength.
Okay, so like rehabby type stuff?
Yeah, for sure. Because I've been through I've had surgery on both my ankles. I snapped my wrist real bad, had surgery on that. I've done my AC joint on each shoulder. In like the last 6 months, I've torn both my quads from like 2 separate just impact falls straight to my leg. Just coincidentally, in this short time frame, I've literally fallen so hard on my legs that I've punctured the muscles.
Twice, in fact.
Yeah, twice.
And one on your back.
One on each leg.
Yeah.
And did my back as well. And so like it just, the list goes on, you know, and I think definitely after the second ankle surgery, that was when I was like, all right, time to actually fucking start looking after yourself. Because I did do like the rehab for the first one, got it pretty strong. It's actually good. I haven't had a single issue with it since. But yeah, I was just like feeling it, you know, like getting, you know, maybe 25, 26. I was like, you know, wouldn't be able to wake up and skate the same the next day the way I would have when I was, say, 18, you know, and that's when it was like I was really feeling it. But I've always been conscious of it, you know, even though I wasn't doing it for a long time, I was always aware that like you need to do more than just skate. Like you need to look after yourself more. And
Dude, you're so switched on.
Also, though, you do have a lot to show for it. Those injuries that you just spoke of came because you've had like how many parts just recently and one boiling away?
Well, I had the one earlier in the year.
Yeah. Like since I've known you, I'm talking the last 3-4 years.
Oh, yeah.
So
there was the Brutus part and then, the fractured part. I've had 2 parts in Sydney and then I've got another one that's like ready to go.
Yeah. And they're not getting worse, they're getting better. So those injuries came with those, really, didn't they?
Yeah, but I think it is definitely a testament to the training. Like I have noticed such a benefit and such an effect from it that it's like been far greater than I really expected, you know?
Longevity.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like the motivation for it is like to be able to do it for longer, not to be able to do more difficult. Yeah, not for money, not for doing better or harder tricks, but just to be able to do it longer and survive.
Yeah.
I really hope like a non-skater hears this. You know?
Same,
Yeah, because it's like the impact on your body. I comparatively, I think it's harder than a UFC fighter. Seriously,
easily,
the injuries you sustain and the beatings that you take. The beatings are heavier, especially at the level you're skating at, and for no money, people.
Yeah,
you know?
No.
Can we talk about money though?
Yeah.
Like, what frustrates you about the skate industry?
Frustrates me, I guess. Like the biggest thing with it is that is really frustrating and unfair to a lot of people is like it comes down to the people that are in the positions to make those make those calls. You know, the team managers, if they have a biased opinion and they're affiliated with another brand, it's completely unfair to the people that are doing it for the right reasons and putting in that amount of effort that deserves to be recognized, you know.
100%.
In Australia, that's a thing, but worldwide in general, like think about how many skaters there are that are out there that are worthy of being pro that you'll never hear of, you know, they never get the opportunity, or they are sort of in that boat where they're sort of on people's radar, but it's like they might not be friends with the right person. They might not ride for the right brand. So it's like, if you're not in with the right people, you get shunned away almost. It's like there's not even a chance there for you. So that's a real dampener on the industry. It's like, it doesn't matter how good you are or the person that you are or, you know, what you do or how passionate about it you are. It comes down to like, are you friends with the guy who's the team manager and do you ride for his brand? Well, if you don't, then like you can get fucked basically. That's how it makes you feel. So, and I know that, like, I'm not just speaking from my own experience. I know that there are a lot of people in Australia that feel that way. And it's it's disheartening for sure. And it demotivates you. It's like, why the fuck even bother pushing myself if like I can do it better than your mates, but you're not going to care. So like, why even bother doing it if it's not going to get me anywhere? That's easy to fall into that frame of mind, you know? But thankfully I've been able to not fall into that and just like do it for my own passion. And, you know, I'm going to do it regardless, whether I'm getting paid, whether I'm sponsored, whatever. I'm always going to skate my absolute hardest. So, you know, but it does get to a point where you're looking around at the people that are getting looked after. You see it like continuously. It's the same people, the same brands that are getting all this exposure, all this spotlight. And you're just like, you guys aren't really progressing though. You're just doing the same shit over and over again on the same looking spots. Your videos all look the same. You all skate the same. It looks like the same person. You know?
Sometimes, yeah.
It's fucking boring.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there's no diversity. But
Yeah. But at the same time, obviously, it is disheartening when you're really trying your best and you see the value of what you can do and what you can bring, and it's not recognized or noticed. But at the same time, like I said, that's not the reason that I do it. You know, I'm not doing it to try and make money. I'm doing it because I love it. And the way I sort of feel now is like, because like I said, I have sort of come to terms with where I'm at and content with that. But I look around and I see that shit and it just motivates me to go harder. I'm like, if you think that's good enough for your brand and you think that's good enough to like for exposure for them and for everything that you're doing, then I'll just show you that it's not, because I can do better.
Yes,
keep
sir.
it real, you know.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's like what you just said before about MMA and the injuries you would just say sustain in the UFC as opposed to skateboarding. Like, I often think that skateboarding, if anything, is like the most current version of being just say like an old ancient samurai or kung fu master. Like, and back then they weren't getting sponsored. The best swordsman didn't get sponsored. The best fighter, like it wasn't, you know, like there was duality for just the number one headband or whatever, but you weren't getting paid for it. You were just it. And that's where I see you're taking more of a warrior approach. And I think that's what I love about skating with you and skating with you, like even Kaney and Jason Morris. Like, we don't have to, we buy our skateboards. Like, not you don't, but I remember we're
Not yet.
Yeah, not
Thankfully.
yet, but we're on a group chat and he's the only pro allowed on the group chat. Anyway, I thought, like, getting back to the warrior thing, like, I remember, like, Kaney and I were just talking about it, but I went to Europe once and I just painted my board black and there wasn't a sticker on it. And it was just the skateboard itself when it's got no graphic, no sticker, nothing, like a good old blank matte black. Man, then you're like looking at your board and you're like, wow. And I was like, you know, like, how, I was asking him, like, how do you reckon it would affect your kick flips with a big ass fluoro M sticker on the bottom of your board?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, keep going.
But yeah, like, but when you got like just a clean skin, you and your skateboard, you're not doing it for a brand. You're going out and you're just flexing how good you can get.
Yeah, but I also think people are very observant and perceptive, and they can smell authenticity a mile away, and they can also smell bullshit a mile away too. So let that, like, it's really, that's my philosophy. Let those people do their. I'm just going to keep my side of the street clean, because at the end of the day, I got to live with myself.
Yeah.
You know, and if someone's been a dickhead, well, that dickhead's got to live with themselves. They'll have moments alone where they know they're a dickhead.
Yeah, 100%.
But I love what you said.
No, thank you.
And I think a lot of other people will appreciate that too. Thanks for the honesty.
No, my pleasure. I mean, and that's the other fucked up thing about the industry is, like, you're made to feel like you're so fucking lucky to get this product. It's like you should be like fucking bending over backwards for us. And it's like,
no.
Well,
you're making me wear that shirt.
Yeah.
You're making me wear those kicks.
But the thing with it is, it's like you're made to feel that way, but you're also made to feel like you can't speak up and say, like, how you feel. If you disagree with something, it's like, I don't want to say that I don't like this because I might get cut.
Yeah.
You know? It's a lot of that. And there'd be a lot of people in situations where they're not stoked with their deal or they're not stoked on the way things are being handled, but they're too like cautious or wary of raising any of that for the fear of it all just being taken away because this guy doesn't like them.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Because it's safe. I got a good thing. I don't want to rock the boat.
Yeah, that's it, exactly.
They're trying to save their own jobs at the end of the day, and then they only.
But it's not a job, you know. It's just product.
It is.
There's no job involved. It's like just this deal. It's like we're so lucky to get this product that they spend like what $10 to make. You know, it's like nothing for these brands to make, especially these corporate brands. Like it's nothing to give away a few pairs of shoes, but we're made to feel like, oh my God, we're so fucking lucky. Like I can't believe it. Yeah. Oh, I'm never gonna fucking question you or step out of line. It's like, man, if I don't like what you're saying or what you're doing, I'm going to tell you, you know. But the people in those situations, they don't like that pushback. They don't expect it, you know, because they know that that is the way it's sort of set up. It's like everyone is supposed to feel really, like privileged and lucky to be in that position, and you shouldn't question it or step out of line, you know.
Well, it's a metaphor for capitalism.
It is.
You articulate well.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Were you good at school?
Nah.
Have you done any further education?
Nah. I wouldn't say that I was bad at school. I just chose not to do it. Like if I wanted to do, if I wanted to do something, if for whatever reason there was a subject that I was interested in, and I was like, oh, I'll actually do this. Like most of the time, I would get a good mark, but I just wasn't there. I wasn't interested, and like I said, like. Nah, I fucking hated it. I was just waiting for my chance to get out. I left school at the end of year 10, and then I did a multi-trade course at TAFE to get my year 11 certificate. My mum was just adamant. She's like, at least get your year 11, you know, go do something at TAFE. Like, I don't want you just leaving school at 16 and not knowing what the fuck you're going to do. So I was fully understanding of that, and I was happy to do because I didn't know what I was going to do. All I knew was I was going to skate. That's all I knew, and that's all I cared about. And if I was going to get to skate more, if I go to TAFE, then I'll do that, you know? So, but yeah, even by the end of the TAFE course, I kind of just stopped going. And luckily, like the lady there, the kind of, I don't know, she was like a coordinator or something, but she just had like, she was just super supportive of, I guess she kind of knew my story up till that point, and she knew what my passion was and everything. And she was just like, you know, she was stoked for me on skating, and she ended up just like kind of stringing all these credits together to give me my pass, even though I didn't do anywhere near enough to finish it. She just wanted to give it to me, and which she did. And, you know,
such a nice guy. That's why.
Yeah, maybe.
Or did she want, how old was she?
I don't think it was that. She was definitely.
Sorry, I'm just kidding.
No. But yeah. So I got my year 11 at TAFE, and then after that, I was working at Fast Times Skateshop for a little bit, and I was that was just, you know, me just being involved in what I was, you know, passionate about. And then I was able to skate more. I was only working a few days a week, and I was working in the city. So when I'd finish work or whatever, I would just go skating, you know. Sick. Or vice versa, go skating beforehand and go to work. So no, it worked out well. I ended up getting the ass from there, rightfully so. Yeah.
Why would you do?
Pilfering.
Well, hey.
Okay, go.
No, well, okay. I think it was, I was never given an exact reason why, but I have a pretty good reason, a pretty good idea.
Discounts?
Nah, it wasn't giving out discounts like that. That was
to yourself.
I was on the team, so I was allowed to get that. So I don't think it was that. It was like I was like 18, 19, and I was like in the peak of like my like party. I was deep diving into like partying.
Oh,
you know?
really?
And
fuck Party Ben. I haven't met Party Ben.
No, you
before.
haven't. No. But so what I would do is like, because I had a little Subaru Forester, I would like go in and maybe skate. Maybe like say I'm working on like a Saturday, I'd maybe go in, skate the Friday, go out all Friday night, and my car would be parked at the skate park. And then I'd maybe like finish whenever, you know, say it's like 5 a.m. or whatever, party all night, go to my car, sleep in there for like a few hours, and then just get up and go straight to work. So I would have just been stinking, like hungover, like I was just
unpresentable
in the worst form of my life, you know. And I'm like, trying to sell people shoes, and then I think they would probably just like, oh, you know, this guy cut out for it.
Al Bundy and Booger in one kind of thing.
I think that may have been it. I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't like.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't know.
Retail's just
I tried it once.
Once I got out of there, I was like, thank fuck. I was like so ready to work outdoors.
Do you know Ben Watts?
I don't know.
He works for Fast Times, but I don't know.
What store?
The one in Campbelltown. He's just
Grill. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I always forget that that's his name. I hear the name Ben Watts, and I'm like, who is it? I mean this is because he works at Fast Times now in Melbourne, I think. But I mean, this is a sincere compliment. You two are very similar characters. Yeah, see, he's a legend.
I think you two.
He's an absolute legend.
I can see you guys being best friends.
Yeah, he's a G.
Like the
anytime I see him,
sweetest dude.
Yeah, he is. Anytime I see him, I definitely have a good chat and hang out with him. He's a genuine guy for sure.
And just a deep love for skateboarding. Yeah, just a good dude. Oh, is your dog choking itself?
He's not choking yet, but he's close.
Sorry.
Peanut.
No,
he's all right.
Oh, okay.
Untwist him.
He's castrating himself.
The poor dude has got his nuts.
I tried to get his pants.
Got his nuts in a knot. Literally.
Lucky you don't have any nuts, Rudy.
Yeah.
Oh no, poor dude.
No, he's good. I gave him a good distance.
Yeah. I had a question about I've lost it, John. I had it right there.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
About being at Fast Times, retail.
Fast Times, retail therapist. No, you're not into that. No, it was around going back to your education journey. I do want to talk about that because, you know, if I'm honest, like I do want to advocate for young people not neglecting educational pathways. Do I think school is the answer? Not necessarily. You know, I'm a high school teacher.
Yep.
But when I do see some skaters go all in on skateboarding, you know, it's interesting to me, given now that I know what I know and now what you know, like, I guess, like, what advice would you give to, like, a young up-and-coming skater who is really focused on that dream?
I would say, well, like, what I was always told is, like, it's like you got to have a backup plan. Yeah, that's all I heard.
You believe that though?
I don't know if you have to have one.
Okay,
but it probably doesn't hurt. Yeah, but like for me, like I didn't know what that was for me. Like, and I'm not doing what I'm doing now is not something that I ever really envisioned or thought that I would see myself doing. So you could have a backup plan and you could have all of this stuff in place, but it might not ever come to life, you know?
Yeah, well, backup plans need backup plans too. They're not forever set in stone.
That's good.
But I think it is important not to just like be putting all your eggs in that basket and being like expecting that it's gonna work out the way that you hope for it to, because it is a really challenging, unrealistic dream, if I'm being honest, from my experience anyway. Yeah. So I think, you know, even if you're not a strong academic and you don't love school like I didn't, I fucking hated it, just try and put a bit of time into finding something that you do like that could open up a career for you, you know? Yeah. Even if it's not a career right now, even if it's like you're just building your own ramps or... You know, finding things that you actually like, that you want to do for fun, that maybe later they could open up into a career if you needed it to.
Like that's being an entrepreneur, in my opinion. But I do want to ask you about skate comps. Like, have you ever considered the skate comp pathway? So, for example, like Kieran Woolley, who's been on the show, like if people want to go back and listen to that episode,
for sure,
from a very young age, he decided to chase skate comp. The sort of skate competition pathway. And ultimately it led to him being in the first ever Olympic skateboarding event.
Yeah, which is amazing.
I mean, and watching you yesterday and, you know, watch a bit of SLS and stuff. I remember I said to you at the end of the day, I was like, dude, that was like an SLS day or something. Well, because you did a line for Peanut, right? And he filmed it and you did like 4 or 5 tricks in a row and Peanut naturally just went, oh, well, you must be done. But then you still added another trick to it, I think. It was where you did the nollie inward heel over the hip.
I just did it twice.
And then Peanut's like,
in a row.
I missed the last trick. He's like, and you're like, I'll just do that line again.
Did it
The
again.
hardest shit.
Yeah.
And me and Peanut looked at each other and just went, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So, like, what do you think?
When I was young, I skated a lot of comps. From when I skated my first comp when I was 10, I think. It was an under 15s skateboarding comp at Glen Waverley Skate Park, which was like a local park to my dad's house. He took me with my family. They were all there. And I did fairly well. Like, I think I came second, and it was like my first comp ever, and I was skating with kids that were, up to 5 years older than me. So I think that was kind of definitely like an eye-opening moment where I sort of worked out that I had a bit of skill for my age.
Yeah.
And then I did like continue the comp path for a little bit. Like, I was doing comps that, like, the YMCA in Melbourne do a series called like the Southeastern League. I lived in the Southeast, so they would actually do a Northwestern League and a Southeastern League, but I would just do the ones on my side because they were more accessible. And I think up until I was maybe 18, so I probably started first sort of few comps when I was around 10 or 11.
Okay.
And then up until I was 18, maybe 17, 18, I was skating, fairly consistently. But I kind of hit a wall with it probably around that age. I mean, even throughout the whole time I was skating comps, I would always feel like an immense amount of pressure, like it was stressful, even young, like, and it didn't mean anything. There was nothing on the line, but it was like competing with yourself, trying to do your best, putting all this pressure into this like 45 seconds, and then you fuck your trick up and you're just like, what? It's all over, like you just know instantly. And like the feeling when you're in the middle of a run and you know that it's over, it just sucks. And you're just trying to keep doing tricks for the sake of it because everyone's watching you.
Yeah.
And you keep stacking and you're just like, this actually isn't fun. Like, I'm not having any fun at all today. Yeah. I could have so much more fun if I just went and skated like a curb out the front or just skate my flat bar at home. So I think it was just, and I would have waves where I would do well. Like, I definitely won a few and did well in quite a few, but I think it was like hitting that wall of recognizing like the way comps made me feel and the amount of pressure, and then also opening up more to like filming and meeting more people that I can get out filming and street skating with. And those people were not doing comps. Right. So I was like, I don't want to miss out on the session or miss out on skating that spot. I can go and skate that skate park any day, but I might not get to go back with the filmer to that spot. So that's what I really dove into. And especially once I was around the right people, like the Gooch Street crew, all the guys that I skated with, like primarily in Melbourne, we made our own like videos and that sort of thing. And they were already doing that when I sort of met them, and I was already like looking up to them and aspiring to them. And then once they sort of accepted me and I was skating with them and filming with them, I was like, this is all I want to do. I don't give a fuck about the comps because I want to film a video part for the next video. And then like also meeting Mapstone as well and having the opportunity to shoot photos and getting stuff in magazines and stuff, then that was definitely where my focus lied.
What's his advice been like in terms of that career type decision making? Is it similar to what Peanut's been saying to you, or like has he guided you in any way? Like
in terms of making a career in skateboard as a like, pro skateboarder? Yeah,
like has he actually said, "Oh, you need to skate more comps," or that because that could be a pathway to sustainable living and income, or has he said, stick to the video parts, stick to the.
I don't know if we ever even really touched on it, to be honest. I know that if I wanted to skate a comp, he would be super supportive. And I've still skated like a couple here and there, but I'll just skate ones that are just like, like a best trick jam or something like that, I'm not really that into like trying to put a whole run together.
Yeah.
In saying that, though, I haven't tried one in a fucking long time. I don't even know when the last comp.
I think you got enough unlocked to be able to and still look impressive. Because like, what's easy to you may not be that easy to a lot of other people,
But there hasn't even been a comp in Sydney since I've lived here. There hasn't even been one like
comps aren't big here,
like
really.
a street style comp that is like worth a sponsored skateboarder to enter.
To even enter, yeah.
There hasn't even been any, so I don't know how I would go or how I would treat it now. Maybe it would be more fun now because I'm not, like, when I was younger in that frame of mind, like doing the comps, I was still thinking, you know, chasing the dream of being a pro skater. So I was probably putting more pressure on myself for those comps. But now, because I'm in a different frame of mind, maybe I could do it and I wouldn't get frustrated or upset if I don't do well, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas then I was putting, a lot of pressure on myself to do well. And like sometimes we were driving like 2 hours to these skate parks and stuff, you know? And I know that that's like, you know, my dad's weekend or my mum's weekend taken up, and you know, there's a lot
consider that.
Yeah, and I want to fucking do good, you know.
Yeah, but then like you just like you mess up on one little trick and then that's it. Your 45 seconds gets chewed up.
Yep.
Trying to recover from that, and I think all skate comps should be jam format.
Yeah, I agree. So much better, and the final outcome will be better anyway. You'll get to see better tricks if people have more time and less pressure.
Do you enjoy watching things like SLS and X
Yeah,
Games?
I fucking love it.
You enjoy it?
I love it.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I watch all of them.
Do you watch any other sports?
I watch golf.
Do you?
I watch a lot of golf.
Dude.
Yeah, I love golf.
As you said that, the Raddus kookaburra just landed on that tree behind you.
Oh, sick.
You can see it just in the...
Yes. There was
I
one
love
just
this
here
valley,
the other
mate.
day.
Oh, right.
There was one on the railing.
So
Sick.
pretty.
Yeah.
Where
It
you
is.
live.
It's gorgeous. It's an old nursery here.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Log
Like a
cabin.
native
looking over the-
nursery.
Yeah, this
Gringo Chase.
this cabin is actually like the caretaker that used to look after the whole nursery. That's why this is here, because they lived here.
Man, it's so peaceful.
Mm.
And quite central. Sort of.
Central, not
Well, you're
Bird
not,
Central.
well, central to...
It
I guess
is.
you're still in Sydney.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Living out.
I guess I'm like thinking, after like being in the city for so long, I'm like, when I think central, I'm thinking Central Station.
You live in Waterloo?
Yeah, dude. And I lived in Surrey and Dulwich Hill. So, I guess going from that, it feels like a little bit further out. But obviously, like, I don't mind the drive. Where I grew up in Melbourne was about 45 minutes out of the city anyway. So I'm used to that bit of distance. And now that I'm actually back living out of the city, I prefer it a lot more, actually. It's so much more peaceful and relaxing.
Way better here.
Does it make you utilize your time in the city more effectively when you do go for a city mission?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I want to like get everything I can done in that time and stay there and see as much as I can, for sure. Like I don't want to just drive there for an hour and drive back.
Yeah.
Because then I'm here for the day, you know.
Yeah,
Or I can go to
totally.
the skate park down there or whatever. But you're more limited. It's like when I'm in the city, I want to like do everything I can, for sure.
Yeah, okay. Who would you say are some filmers that you really like to work with?
I've filmed probably majority of my tricks with Tony Woodward in Melbourne.
Okay.
Teabags, he goes by and he does all the Gooch Street videos.
Nice.
I'd say I've probably filmed more tricks with him than anyone else, but I haven't filmed with him in the last 4 years because he's still in Melbourne. Since I've been in Sydney, I have actually gotten to work with quite a few different filmers. The first video part I filmed was with Joel Lombroso. He's from Sydney. He's actually like a model. He's been on like covers of magazines as like a model.
Like a
and
fashion model.
Yeah.
Dude.
But he was filming quite a lot when I first moved to Sydney. I met him through Cam Markin. Do you know Cam Markin? He does like his own, he makes his own rails called Rainbow Rails. Have you seen
Okay.
that at all? He kind of like
bell.
pretty much like self-taught like welder, and he's done like work with concrete skate parks and maybe some of the other park builders,
Yep.
like building skate parks. But so I already knew Cam, and then he introduced me to Joel. So the first video part that I filmed was with Joel.
Yep.
I think he was probably just the first filmer that I met, or maybe the first filmer that I really just thought was a down-to-earth person that I would like to actually spend time with and film with. Excuse me. I've also, the last video part that I filmed was with Ben Norris, and Ben is actually, he films like the BMX crew here. So I actually connected with some of the BMX crew here in Sydney before I really clicked with, like I had a couple friends that skated that I was close with, but I actually really connected with these guys just on another level way more before really having that with any other skater here. So basically I was just at Waterloo Skate Park one night on my own, and I saw two guys riding bikes, and I was riding for Vans then, and I see that they're wearing Vans and they got Van stickers on their bikes, and I just sort of approached them. I was like, "Oh, you guys ride for Vans?" And they were like, yeah, we do, you know, and then we kind of just hit it off from there, just, you know, talking, hanging out at the park, and then I was just like, you know, let's hang out sometime. Let's go out skating, riding together, you know, it's the same shit. Let's just get out. And they're just fucking legends, man. And then I like worked out after meeting them that like, well, Lewis, one of them, is like one of the best street riders in the world. Like he went on to win X Games and win International Video Part of the Year last year.
Oh, no way.
And just such a like genuine, humble dude. And Jackman as well, who rides at like an amazing level. He rides for a bunch of brands. And both of them are like, the thing that I really thought when I met them was like, I've met so many people, skaters in Sydney that have just had like gnarly egos, like from the bat. Like I meet them,
Okay.
they got a gnarly ego, they're super arrogant, and they don't give you any time of day. You know,
More than Melbourne?
yeah, I reckon, yeah.
Okay.
And then I like people that say like I know them well enough that like if I saw them, I could talk to this person for an hour because I know you well. I kind of know where you're from, and we skate, so we've got that in common, and we could connect pretty easily. You know, people in that sort of boat, I rock up, like I know exactly who they are. They know who I am. Rock up to the skate park, I look at them and go, "Oh, what's up, bro?" And they'll just go, like raise their head, raise their eyebrows, and just look away. And I'm just like, all right, you're a fucking kook. But then I meet Lewis and Jackman, and these people that will do that to you in skating, like, they're nothing special. Like, I don't think any of us are special. None of us are special because we ride a skateboard. Like, it doesn't make you better than anyone or give you the right to treat anyone with less respect, you know? Yes, and then I meet Lewis and Jackman, and these guys are like, they're at the top of their game. None of us are even near in our industry where they are in BMX. Yeah. But they're so fucking humble and down to earth, and they don't think of them as better than anyone because they're good at riding their bike, you know? They're just good people, and that's why I connected with them. And then that's how I met Ben Norris, because obviously he films them, and I was just spending more time with them than anyone. So I was like, Ben, let's fucking film a video part together. Yes. And he'd never filmed skateboarding before, and he fucking nailed it.
Wow.
Yeah.
How cool.
And that's like why I was living in Terry Hills those 3 months, was actually at Lewis's house, the BMX homie.
Oh, so, okay.
He put me up.
You became that close.
We're like best friends. We're like best friends now, yep.
It's kind of like a tall poppy syndrome type complex.
You think
that
that's what it
Sydney
is,
vibe.
Peter?
I think so. Like sometimes, like when you do, there's a bit of that. Definitely, I reckon infiltrates.
But you think it's
the
more
skate scene.
He thinks it's more pronounced in Sydney than it is in
That's
Melbourne.
what I'm saying. Yeah,
Why?
but tall poppy
That's
is too.
my
You know what I
question.
mean? Like,
I think it's because what do you reckon? It's a bigger
I
city.
think because I don't know. There's a billion factors, I dare say, but like it was, you know, the competitive side of where you're from. You know, the Browboy days and the postcode days.
Okay,
it's kind of like a reminiscence or radiation from those days to now. But there was always, like, if in our era there was the time boom, you know, like in, you know, there was the fresh and hash type situation going on, tongues out, you know, like, and what was funny was it mattered back then and people weren't talking because of how they dressed, which was so funny.
It is so funny.
When you think about it, but you remember what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Well, some people will.
Me and Ty were talking about the exact same thing. Yeah,
and but for some reason I was trying to tell, like, Ben, like the Northern Beaches never had that. If you ever notice, like the Caneys, the Azars, myself, like we never really, like, maybe we did in asshole type ways out of fun competition, but not. We never dissed anyone, no matter like what level they were at, or if they were a homie, they were a homie. You know, if they were around, or if you met them and they were nice, they were cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Whereas there's like. And you did. I felt that vibe in the city a lot. Like everyone kind of. It's like a girl or a guy at a club trying to like project, puff the. You know, it's like peacocking almost.
Peacocking.
And you think, you know, that you should be projecting that just out of pure like dominance.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm just curious as to why Sydney's a bit more like that. Maybe My one small
It's
observation is
pretentious, I think.
it's a bigger city too. More people, more competition.
Yeah.
Busier roads. People are more
Transient
maybe
hub.
high strung.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't have a.
There's no need
I
for
don't
it.
really have a reason like why I've experienced it more in Sydney. Maybe I just feel it less. I've felt it less in Melbourne because I was from there. And I sort of like gradually worked my way in and gradually met people. Whereas like changing city and scenery, like instantly, you're instantly with all new people, all new surroundings. And like you can't expect everyone to like you and take you in straight away, you know?
Well, let's analyse it psychologically. In your opinion, why do you feel that a person would act like that in the first place? What do you think their motivation is? Do you think it's to put you down?
I don't know if it's necessarily to put them down, to put like me or someone else down, but maybe they see those people as like a threat. If you sort of come in and you don't have that like strong crew and support around you, you're just like one individual skating well, it's pretty easy for that person to be like wouldn't say a target, but like it's easy to criticize that person that's like doing it on their own, you know, when you've got your crew of like 15 people, like people will always find something to criticize in skateboarding, no matter how good they are or, you know, what they do, like they'll always find criticism. And I think if you're like an individual doing it on your own, it's a fucking lot harder than like just being in the city that you grew up with, around all your friends that you grew up with, and you haven't really experienced a big change like that or put yourself in a vulnerable position like that. You can't really relate to it or think about like what is that guy actually going through and what's he sort of done to get himself here, you know?
Yeah, so you think it's a bit of closed-mindedness?
Yeah, 100%. And immaturity, for sure. I think a lot of skaters are fucking super immature, especially these days. Fuck me.
But what age range are we talking? Like
Even up to like 25.
Some might say that's still young.
Yeah,
Like I look at you.
25
How old are
to me is
you?
not young.
28.
See, I've been looking, like, you know, hanging out with you and talking to you, and I keep thinking to myself, I was nowhere near as mature as Ben was when I was 28.
Yeah.
Like, I was a complete fucking tosser at 28. Like,
No, true.
really,
Thank
just
you.
carrying on and acting like a tool.
Yep.
So I still think that is maybe a lot could be put down to just being young.
I don't know. I guess like I have
And
different
experience.
standards of
What do
on
you think?
myself.
Peanut, we did see Peanut. I don't think you had a big ego. Have you ever been accused of that?
I think it slipped in here and there, but I don't think no. Like I tried to not surround myself. I know where that can lead. It's a destructive path. But what I can say on two things is the vibe thing, right? When you ask me about why Sydney, I don't know why, but I will tell you that I've driven south and north that many times for comps, for for one of the parks back in the Volcom days. Like we did that drive up and down that many times, and you can just by going to random pubs and stop, and staying at all these areas. You do notice that people get nicer when you go south for some reason.
Thank you. Wollongong, Nowra.
And it used to be a bit more hostile north, unless you knew the crew north, unless you were going to see the people you were seeing.
Name areas.
No, I'll just generalize. But that's one thing.
Okay, that's a good observation.
But as far as the other thing I can mention is that there is a positive and negative to that kind of stigma of, like you don't want to allow just everything in because like there's got to be a stock standard, right? But it can tip over too far to where you're applying it to things you shouldn't. Yeah. So like we know that you were telling us about Instagram about the best kickflips, so you've got a standard. We've got a standard of what a good kickflip is. And there's a billion things we can list that you told a non-skateboarder, it has to be this and da-da-da and da-da-da and the spot. We all see that as one thing, but so there's that, which I think is important, you know what I mean? But it doesn't give you the reason to be an arsehole or shun people off or not be humble in front of people.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely,
You can still hang out with the guy that does Benihanas around if you want,
Totally.
Dude, I was thinking of someone from Manly the other day and I couldn't remember his name, and it just came to me the other day, and he was from Manly and he loved a Benihana.
I think he was
Perush
from
Wilson.
Perush Wilson. Yeah,
and it just came
yeah.
to me the other day.
Yeah.
He liked a Benihana, didn't he?
He did.
He's a good
Jake
skater.
used to do them so good. It somehow came full circle, that trick.
Benihana. You think it's cool again? Do you think Benihanas are cool? Ben?
I've done my fair share of Benihanas, so I probably can't be too critical of them.
Wait, didn't you done Benihana a mega ramp or a mini mega ramp?
I did the mini mega at Geelong Indoor
pads,
Skate Park.
just straight up normal board
I
and
actually
shit.
did pop shove at Benihana over it as well.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Pop shove at Benihana?
Yeah, I don't know why. It's fucking hideous. But I did it.
Quick, couple of rapid fire
awesome.
questions.
Oh, yeah, give it to us.
Switch Mongo. Is it cool?
The right person can do it, for sure.
Switch Mongo.
Yeah.
So if you're skating switch, should you push switch Mongo? So
I don't know
that-
if
so
there's-
people know it's switch.
I don't know if there's any you should do it this way or that way. I think it's all up to the individual and how they want to do it. But I think anyone can skate however they want. It just some people can make it look good and some people won't.
Okay. Is there ever a place for normal Mongo push?
If it's your first day skateboarding.
I thought you said people can skate however they want.
Yeah, maybe that's what. I mean, if you want to, sure, but it's just going to be harder.
I made a subtle reference to you in an
you got one
episode
shoe.
or two ago with Ty, I think. And it's like, I feel like someone like you or your mate that we met at Glebe the other day. Sam, lovely guy.
Yeah, yep. I did
like-
listen to this actually.
I feel like if one of you dudes in a line just decided to push Mongo,
yeah,
I feel like it would work.
let's test it.
Okay.
I'll do it. We'll find out.
The thing is, when you think about it, a no comply is almost there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So easy.
Like you can't do a no comply without Mongo.
No, that's it. Nah, I mean, switch Mongo for sure. Like anyone who's, in that 90s sort of style of fashion and skating and trick selection and
Switch
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sweet, I think.
Keenan.
Yep.
Yeah,
Stevie,
the
like
Keenans,
any
Stevies.
of those OGs, like, you
Yeah.
can't knock them for sure. But, and even some of the ones like
TL.
today, yeah, Tiago.
Yeah.
Tiago does it.
He does it nice.
Yeah.
But he power pushes.
Switchbacks.
But it's just it's that style, He's like it's that trick selection, that fashion, that look that like you can pull it off. But like I don't think I could pull it off.
No.
If I was to do a switch Mongo push in my line, like I don't think I'd ever stop hearing about
I
it.
used to hear. I remember there was a call. It was as funny as remember the term oppo. It's like going
opposite, like switch.
Opposite, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's what I think that's what rollerbladers used to do when they were going. Like, I don't
spinning
know,
the
like,
opposite
were they
way.
spinning the opposite way? They'd put their hand up going oppo.
Right.
And it's like claiming it that you're going the other way.
Yeah.
I usually spin this way, but I'm spinning the other way.
Oh, wow.
And it's like it is a bit silly, but I must say it is
can't
ugly.
turn
Like
left.
pushing.
I'm not an amputee.
But maybe you don't look. Maybe
pissing.
sorry. Maybe Switch Mongo doesn't look good for you. Maybe your pants need to be baggy.
Yeah, that's it.
I feel like the
think.
baggier the pants, the better the Switch Mongo.
Yeah,
looks.
for sure.
like it's-
I agree with that.
bizarre.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I don't think you'll ever find a clip of like a Hesh style skater pushing Switch Mongo.
No.
I can't think of one. I'm sure there is out there.
I reckon there might be.
You'd
but
probably be able to
back
think
in
of
the, yeah.
Would you
4
rather?
days.
Sorry, Peanut.
Sorry, yeah.
Would you rather watch Gino push? Have you ever heard that? Have you ever heard that meme? That saying? I'd rather watch Gino push. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah.
Rather that than what?
You haven't. Well, do you know who?
Yeah, I know who Gino
like,
is.
Well,
Yeah.
there's a meme like it says I'd rather watch Gino push. Like it's a reference to like he pushes he makes skateboarding just look so good aesthetically.
Oh.
He'd rather watch that. They'd rather watch that than someone doing a 20-stair rail.
Yes, I get that.
Do you get it? It's like a reference to style.
Yeah. I could.
So style over difficulty.
I don't know. That's a hard one.
Tipping point.
It
mate.
is a
There's
hard one.
tipping
Like,
point.
because style is like, it's a major contributor to the skaters like being and where they sort of get to. But I don't know. I don't think it's fair to like to take anything away from someone because they have a bad style. If they're like putting in the work, the effort, and they're doing difficult tricks, like might not look that great and it might not be as marketable, but fucking hats off to them, Like, who gives a fuck? You can't control that either, And I don't like people that put effort and focus into your style. Like, your style is how you naturally skate, in my opinion. If you're like changing the way you skate and thinking about the way you look when you skate, it's just fake.
You're not skating.
No, it's fucking fake. There's a lot of people that do it, that milk it. They like put on this like fake sketchy style. They want everything that they are doing, all the tricks, they want them to look gnarlier than what they really are. So they'll like exaggerate their arms and exaggerate their balance off and all this shit. And it's like, but 10 years ago in your video part, you were fresh and you landed everything clean in bolts. And now you're like this like hesh sketchy guy, like just hanging on. It's like, nah, that's not you. You're fucking faking it. That's my stance on style. I don't really think too much about style. Like I really respect like what people can do on their board. And if you make it look good too, then that's fucking sick. But I don't, I don't write skaters off because I don't like their style.
Peanut, do you think Ben's generation is nicer than our generation?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. I was listening to that going,
our
wow,
generation
that's so nice.
aren't as, we would be a lot more ruthless. It's funny for your generation, you do have to navigate around certain things that need to be told. But then that's what, lets people like Dustin flourish, and they say it how it is.
Yeah. Because
not that you're holding back, but you did take a diplomatic approach to that question.
Yeah. And that leads into my next question is, let's talk about skate park etiquette. Is there enough accountability?
Hell no.
Why?
Because I think the biggest problem with it at the moment is parents seeing skate parks as like a playground where they can just drop their kids as like a daycare and they'll just sit on their phone or go watch the other kid play soccer or something and they just let them go. And I think it's, the kids they have no idea like of the space that they're in and the risk that they're putting themselves in. And it's up to the parents to be aware of that and take that responsibility. And I honestly very rarely see a parent pull their kid aside and say, hey, like, watch out. You need to like watch where the other guys are going and, actually giving them advice and trying to actually keep them safe. I fucking rarely see it. And if you ever try and pull up like a parent or a kid and try and inform them and like let them know of like the risk that they're in and how close their kid just got to getting cleaned up, you have to like really tiptoe and be really like light and gentle in the way you approach them. Because most of the time they just go, you can't fucking tell me what to do. You can't tell my kid what to do. This is just as much my skate park as it is yours. And it's like, yeah, that's true. But like this skate park ain't designed for you to sit on that fucking ledge while your kid's doing circles in the middle of the skate park. It's like there is fucking etiquette to this. And it's like if you opened your eyes, you'd see that every time we go, we stand at the end, we stand on an edge and we wait and we watch everyone before we go. And even when we're going, we're watching where everyone else is. Yeah. And these kids, man, and I'm noticing it more and more and the ages are getting higher. Like even teenagers will fucking roll into a skate park and not look before they go.
Skaters,
scooter riders. Scooters for sure, but I'm noticing it more and more in skating as well. Okay. Like skaters are not aware and observant of what's going on anymore.
All right, well, what's the solution?
I think there needs to be I think people at the skate park need to be firmer on like if they see that shit, if someone cuts you off, like, well, just from my experience when I was a kid, like I remember doing that and I got absolutely abused. Yeah. It was like, what the fuck are you doing? Get the fuck out of the way.
Exactly.
It was like, get the fuck out of here. And you were made like to feel like you weren't wanted there, And but the thing is like that was how I learnt. Okay. That was how I learnt. Like once that happened, once that guy screamed at me,
tough love.
I was like, damn, I'm not getting in that guy's way again,
Fear. There's fear. Not fear.
I'm not like, saying
not that you didn't probably fear physical harm, but fear of like that social reprimand.
And like I think the biggest thing, it was like more embarrassing than anything. Like being yelled at the skate park, like in front of your friends or whatever, by this guy who's like ripping around the place, and then all of a sudden you've pissed him off. It's like kind of embarrassing, but it's enough for you to like learn and not want to do that and sort of want to learn the etiquette. Because I don't necessarily think that the kids are aware of what they're doing and they're just going, oh, fuck it, I'm just going. Yeah. They're just fully unaware. And it's like the society and the community have become so soft. And you can't address them the way that people used to get addressed in that situation,
Okay, well, Why then? Like, why can't you address them like that? What would you be scared of?
I guess you can.
I'll give you an example. Like, so a kid got my way yesterday, and then I didn't yell at him.
No.
Because I'm a grown-ass man, and the kid was probably 5 years old.
Yeah. But that's...
And I'm a high school teacher. So then I sat down afterwards, and the mum came up to me and said, "Oh, thank you for not yelling at my kid." I was like, "Oh, fuck, okay."
Yeah.
Well, that's at least an apology.
But, sorry, Peanut,
yeah.
go, you go.
No.
Yeah, but so going back to what you were saying,
I think it's case by case. Like, I wouldn't suggest going and yelling at a 5-year-old, you know? Like, I think you need to be there's a certain age you have to hit before you're actually aware of your surroundings. Like, I think there's an age where, like, kids actually don't even have a peripheral vision until they're, like, 8 or something?
yeah, the brain's still developing.
Yeah, so, like... And if they're new to it, like, you don't want their first experience at the skate park to be, like, negative and abusive, you know? Like, I'm not saying go and scream at people and, you know, yell and try and scare them into that etiquette. I think it needs to be done in my experience, what I have done when I can approach it in the right way and the parents can take it the right way, I just try and go straight to them.
Do you?
So I'll, like, if I see... like a mum or dad sitting on the side and they're not even watching what's going on. They're on their phone. Like, I might have a really close call to, like, cleaning this kid up, you know? And then I'll go over and I'll just sort of say, like, hey, like, just so you know, like, I'm not, like, trying to be aggressive or tell you guys off in any way, but just so you know, like, the way your kid is riding, they're putting themselves at risk of getting hurt more than if they were able to look out and watch out for other people.
Okay.
I was like, if you just watch... I'll just point at a skater and I'll just go, watch this guy for 5 minutes. You'll see that he's going to stop at the edge of the skate park every time he gets off his board. He's not in anyone's way. Before he goes, he's going to look at everyone. And even as he's going, he's still looking at everyone. I was like, that's what everyone here has to do to actually be able to share the space safely. Otherwise, your kid is going to get absolutely axed, you know, and you're just going to sit there and then afterwards you're going to think, oh, maybe I should have thought about that etiquette and the way the park works.
Okay, so that's your solution, like courageous conversations, firm, fair. So
Don't know if that's-
screaming's not an option.
Yeah, no, I don't even know if that's necessarily a solution,
it is.
but it's just a one means to getting that message across, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's a really tough. It's tough to put like one answer on like the way to fix it, you know? Like I think
That's a world though, really.
Yeah, there's a lot of contributing factors to it, but I think the biggest one is like, especially in the city, the parents and the families, there's like the real big sense of like entitlement, you know? It's like these people have never skated before, never used a skate park, have no idea how it works, but yet I'll just let my 3-year-old just push around on his kick bike and just let him go and see what happens. And it's like, man, like it's not gonna end well.
No.
And then when people there was a time when you tried to tell a parent at Glebe Skate Park
that, yeah.
exactly, and it turned into like a full-blown argument.
Yeah.
And it was literally Peanut trying to not run this kid over and trying to give the parents the education and understanding.
What were they saying, Peanut?
Same type of thing.
Literally
like,
this is our skate park.
She jumped into already like she was in a piss off mood as well. And but I think she went, "Oh, go get a job" or something like that.
Yeah,
and we were like, "Yeah, we're working right now." But she was kind of like
it was that sense of entitlement. It's like this is just as much my park as it is yours. But it's like you don't know how it works though.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that football oval's just as much mine as everyone else, but I'm not going to go kick the footy while there's a fucking game going on.
Yeah.
I think it's reflective of our society, and it's a side of our society I just really don't like. It's this combination of entitled white privilege
100%.
where there is no accountability for anything.
No.
And we have a government that makes policy after policy and completely mollycoddles us. And so as a result, we act like children and throw tantrums. So no one's taking any ownership of their own behaviour or themselves or their children.
No.
There's my 2 cents. There's my 2 cents.
I agree with that for sure.
Yeah. But I just see it all the time. Like whether it's, sorry to cut you off.
No.
But whether it's at a skate park or in the traffic or at a car park at the beach, people just throwing tantrums. Oh, but again, like when you go to a developing country, like I was speaking to Steve Tierney the other day. And he's in Mexico, developing country. I've lived in Indonesia for years and been there a lot, where there's no rules.
Yep.
And every man for himself. And it's like you get injured, it's on you. You're not suing anyone.
No, for sure.
And there's no police to go and sort your problems out, and the community will sort you out through like a type of martial law.
Yeah, right.
So then there's a lot of accountability. People, they're minding themselves. They're not road raging because they don't know who they're messing with and they don't know how and things like that. Anyway, just saying.
But like at the same time, it is like a fine line, because the last thing I want to do is like, say there's someone who's learning how to skate. Like the last thing I want to do is give them like a negative experience at the skate park when they're so new to it, I want it to be like a welcoming, like comfortable place where everyone can come and skate and feel good about it. But you have to be open to hearing from the people with experience, like the way that the park works. And if someone says something to you about like being in the way or the way the park flows or whatever, like you actually got to really listen and take that on board, because it's like the unwritten rules that we all follow. Everyone follows these rules. Once you get to a certain point in skateboarding, you understand the skate park, everything, like we all follow it. And if you want to be a part of the skateboarding community or any part in that sort of realm, BMX, anything that uses the skate park, you've got to be willing to sort of adapt and understand the way that it works.
And it's a heavily unregulated activity. I don't want to call it a sport. It's unregulated. We don't have a governing body. And I feel like the better skaters and the older skaters are the custodians of this activity and have a responsibility to set these standards.
Yeah, yep.
But it can be done in a firm and fair way. I don't think there's need for aggression.
No.
But I want to talk about your skate coaching.
Yep.
How's that unfolding? What's going on there?
Yeah, it's rad. So at the moment, that was what got me to Sydney, was the opportunity to work for Totem. And we primarily focus on council-funded workshops and in-school skateboarding programs as well. So my target demographic, you would say, is people that are learning, people that are starting from the beginning. Yeah. So when I do a workshop, I cover all of these things. Yeah. I cover all of them, and I will sometimes I'll even give them like an example. Like I would even say, hey, Peanut, like go stand on that bank for me for a second, and say I've got everyone like crowded, like watching and listening to this. Peanut's over there, and I'll literally just give them an example of how we watch out for each other and how we communicate and make sure that we get our own safe go, So that is definitely something that I implement and I really stress heavily in my programs. And then same deal with the private lessons. Like if I'm doing like a private lesson and the kids are new to it, I'll inform the parents just as much as the kids, because it's fair for the kids to forget that. It takes time to ingrain all of that in and remember all of those things, especially while you're trying to learn a new skill and then worrying about what else is going on around you. But the parents have the ability to be aware of that and watch that and make sure that the kids are staying on that right track with it.
Since the Olympics, have you seen the onset of these parents wanting to...
Comp parents, yeah. Athlete parents, yeah.
I'm noticing it. I see these parents getting skate coaches for their kids, and the parents have never had an interest in skateboarding, but all of a sudden they want their kid to have a skate coach.
Yeah, because they can see an avenue, they can see a career out of it.
Are you experiencing any of that with parents?
I definitely see it, but I don't really take on like comp-driven clients. I don't really seek that at all. I get really stoked on teaching people that are learning from the beginning. Like I love teaching people when they get to the point of like they've never skated before, and then in 3 months, like I'm helping them drop in for the first time. Yeah. Like that's sick. I get really stoked on that. I get just as much reward in that for myself as when I do a trick for the first time. So that's where my passion lies with it for sure. I am definitely trying to make it like a positive place for people to come and being that person to be able to give them all of that information that, dude, I saw a guy at Mona Vale on not yesterday, but last weekend. We were there in the morning warming up. I see a guy doing a lesson with a kid in the bowl, and I'm like, yeah, sweet, that's cool. Like doing a lesson, teaching like the young guy or whatever. 20 minutes later, I look over and he's doing a fucking rollerblading lesson, bro. He didn't have a skateboard when he was teaching the skating, and then now he's teaching someone how to rollerblade. And I'm just thinking, what the fuck is going on here? You're paying someone to teach your kids something, and they don't even know how to do it.
Wow.
Like, what the fuck's going on?
They're
crazy.
Capitalising.
Yeah.
You know, I'm seeing it. I mean,
There's a
excuse
lot
me.
of that around,
Yeah, me and Ty Colling were talking about it. He's got a skate coaching company.
Yep.
But I mean, he's been skating for fucking 40 years.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. He's got all the insight that you could ever want.
And you can't teach that. And it's coming from a really genuine, authentic place. And then, but there are people who are seeing the niche in the market and going, okay, I see there's money there.
Yeah, for sure.
They should make it dojo style, like kung fu kind of shops, you know, like a certificate.
You need your stripes.
Like, yeah, you need your
belt.
stripes.
Yeah.
But one
black
question
belt.
I want for you, like, it's not only like when you say beginners, a lot of people listening probably think young people, which a lot of times is. 'Cause I've done it, but you do also teach like mothers and
Yeah.
like, remember that one girl that's and they're from like amazing. Kind of, they're from different crafts and different ages and different genders, whatnot. And that one girl, especially that I'm thinking of, is that writer. She's a writer for TV shows.
Yep. Tamara.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she's a quite nice. But I watched her progress.
Yep.
I never saw the lessons you've given her, but
Yep.
she
Yeah.
was coming every Thursday night or whenever. She was there more than twice a week, I reckon, at one stage, rolling around.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, she was skating quite a lot. So yeah, I love
that's in the beginner realm as well.
Yeah.
It's not age. It's
it's
just
not,
getting into it.
It
hey?
ain't age at all. No,
Yeah.
it's and I inform them just as much as the kids, on the etiquette, and the adults who are learning to skate are generally pretty good at taking that info in and listening and understanding that it is like
She's
that you're
super
saying it for a
considerate.
reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not age specific at all. Like I've taught a woman in her mid-50s who had never skated before.
Wow.
I taught her how to skate and had her like rolling down the banks at Sydney Park and like carving and all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
Super rewarding. Super rewarding.
It is.
Do you have some good conversations with these people? I feel like whenever you're in a position where you are giving someone tuition of any kind, whether it's skateboarding or anything, fitness, does it open up to bigger and deeper conversations with these people?
Sometimes.
Because they're in such a vulnerable place when they start?
Yeah, I guess it does. But at the same time, I'm trying not to steer away from like the task at hand too much, because if they're like thinking about like what's going on in their outside of life and, telling you their story or whatever, like I'll always give, hang around and give time to just sort of chat and do that after.
Yeah.
But when we're skating and I'm trying to teach you something, like I don't want you telling me about what you did at work today, because that just tells me that you're not focused on what I'm trying to explain to you.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha, all right.
Yeah. So,
nice.
like, if we're in it, then, like, I mean, obviously you can always chat and, keep it lighthearted and keep it fun. But, if you're paying me to teach you, then I want to do the best job that I can. And if I'm talking about, my own shit or yours, then it's not really going to be as beneficial as it could be.
Yeah, nice, man. Fair enough. Fair enough.
But obviously, like I said, like, I always, hang out for a bit after and chat and, give time for any of that after. And, I'll still skate after and skate with them. Maybe I won't be giving them as much advice or helping them as much, but I'm still there and still do like to connect on the personal level as well.
Oh, rad, dude.
Yeah.
Love that, man. Wow. Whew. Listen, man, it's epic. Peanuts just put the fire on. I love this. Dude.
It's starting,
We're out in the bush.
starting to get cold.
I didn't realize how much I needed some nature therapy. Like, I
Dude.
just feel so calm right now being around here.
Beautiful, hey.
Yeah.
I'm so stoked to be here.
Would you say that you need solitude, or do you like being around people?
Nah, I've sort of worked that out about myself in the last few years that, I do really like my own space, because I lived on my own for a bit at the start of last year, and then halfway through last year I moved in with a housemate again, and then throughout that process I realized, damn, I like my own space. I don't like living with people. Like, I like having my own space, and definitely, especially that, like, I've got Brutus, so like I'm not alone ever. I'm like happy, super happy, just me and him.
Speaking of Brutus, what video part would you say you're most proud of?
Yeah, probably the one I did for him,
Okay.
the most recent one.
Yeah, nice.
All right. Yeah, nice.
Is this all right?
It's fine. It's fine. I've just got some allergies in the smokes kind of going up my nose. It's okay. It's fine.
You sure?
Yeah.
We can move. Let me know if we need to move.
No. Yeah, so you'd say that part.
Yeah.
Is the one, like, what stood out for you on a personal level? Like, why did it, you know?
I think I was really proud of the way that one came out because I had been through my second ankle surgery at that point, which was really fucking hard to come back from, that one. Like, it still gives me a little bit of grief here and there. It's still tender. It still flares up. So, you know, when I got that surgery, I'm like, fuck, I've had both ankles done now. Like, you know, I've done other injuries. On top of that, I was like,
Cooked.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure what capacity I'd really come back at.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know. It just kind of, I think a big contributor, like we sort of touched on, is like the training with Dan, skateboard strength, like doing all of that. That helped me so fucking much. Like, especially the recovery side of things after doing a trick or having like a heavy session.
Yeah.
All of that work that I had been doing, I was like recovering quicker after those those sessions, sorry.
Yeah.
And just skating more frequently. And then the other thing was like, we filmed a lot of that through the lockdown, through COVID, when I was still living in the city. So we had like, when we were in that 5K bubble, I had like a really good 5Ks for skating because I was living pretty much at Central, like right by Central Station. And Benny, who I was filming with, was living just in Glebe as well. So we were able to access each other. And we just really utilized that time and space and got a lot done. So it was few contributing factors. And then I guess the other thing is, sorry, Peanut, is like when I moved here, like it's like a new world, you know. It's like new spots, so many new opportunities. Even though I had already filmed a part in Sydney, it wasn't as long and maybe as good as it could have been.
Yeah.
So yeah, this one I was like, I'm going to take my time with this and I'm going to do something that I'm really fucking stoked on. And then when I was like, what I thought was done, I was like maybe 2 months prior to finishing filming. At that point, I was pretty much content with where it was at, and I was like, this is done, like, whatever. And I didn't have an ender, but I was like, I've got a few tricks that could be, and, like, pretty much just pick one and run with it, and that'll be it. And I was just, like, I was content with it, but I wasn't, like, overly fucking stoked on it. And then I thought I was pretty much done, but then I kind of stuck it out for another, like, 2 months. And when I was in that last couple months, I got into, just a crazy mode of motivation. Yeah. It was crazy. I got like all the best tricks that I had done in that video part in like the last 2 months and actually got it to a point where I was like, damn, I'm fucking stoked on this. And I think it's the best thing that I've done. So
Rad.
Yeah, really stoked on that one. Probably my proudest one, I think. And it's sick to have Brutus, little Super 8 footage of Brutus in there and name it after him. And
so sick.
Yeah.
Mate, that kickflip though, it's kind of one of my favourite things I've witnessed as far as kickflips are concerned. The one at Chinatown.
Yep.
Like the disc, it wasn't necessarily the height. To be honest, when I saw it and you told me you were going to do that, I looked at it and I was like, oh, he's going to hit his head on the top of the thing, or is he even going to make that distance?
Yeah.
Like, it just looks unreal.
Yep.
You know, like maybe for an ollie, straight ollie or whatever, but like a kicky is a different...
Yeah.
I know they say you can kicky, which technically you can kicky anything, you can ollie, but that was a considerable distance.
Yep. That one was hard. That was scary. But yeah, that was the last trick I filmed for it, which was pretty cool. Like to finish filming, like the last trick you film is the last trick in the video. Yeah. I was like so stoked to like land that and be like, holy fuck, I'm done. Yeah. Like that felt sick.
Dude, I can imagine.
Incredible.
I can imagine, man. So, you know, you're living in Sydney, great spot. Like, what's next for you, you reckon? You know, got some new sponsors?
I do, yeah. Writing for Element and America. So, yeah, definitely want to film another part. I'm actually sitting on another part right now that I'm sort of waiting to come out. So that's probably the next thing publicly that people will see from me will be that video part. filmed that one with Jeremy Currie. Do you know who he is? He used to skate, like still skates, but he was a sponsored skateboarder from Melbourne. He's in about his mid-30s now.
Okay.
But he's sort of transitioned into more like the filming and editing side of things. And
He's a legend, that guy.
he is. And so I filmed a part with him. Really excited for that one to come out. Definitely keen to like work on some stuff for the new brands for America and Element. I don't know what that might be at this stage. I know Element want to try and do a trip, whether it be later in the year or start of next year.
So hold on, not many people would know that you're on these two new sponsors, right? So,
I don't know. If anyone follows me on Instagram, they would have seen it because I just
true.
posted that the other day.
So that's only fairly recent, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, this job here is like a new thing for me. Like I've only started with them in the last couple of months. So keen to do more of that, more machine operating. I want to maybe get my excavator tickets, maybe get my heavy rigid truck license.
Sweet.
Just so that if I wanted to take on more work and responsibility here, then I could do pretty much any of it.
Okay.
And just living with Brutus, I guess. Just looking after him. He actually fucking got ran over by a car earlier in the year. Yeah, it was fucked. Yeah.
Is he okay?
Yeah, he's fine now.
No major injury?
Nah, luckily, I actually had him at the park around the corner from my old house in Dulwich Hill, and it like is right on the edge of New Canterbury Road, main road, 60 kilometres they're going, the car's there, and because he's a rescue, and when I got him, like I worked out almost straight away that he's got like a fucking terrible recall, like he hasn't been trained.
Okay.
So I was putting a bit of time into training him, trying to get his recall down, taking him just to enclosed parks where I could sort of trust him. Built him up to a point where I was letting him off the lead at this park around the corner from my house. It was fine. I'd been doing that for like months at this point.
Yeah.
And then this one day, there was like a dog at the park that was tied up, like to the table with the owners.
Okay.
And he was like trying to go over and play with it. And he wasn't obviously able to get much out of it because it was tied up. Then we're walking around, and then these people and the dog are leaving the park.
Yeah.
So he's seen that this dog's not tied up anymore. It's like time to play, you know? So he's chased after it. And then I see that he's heading towards the dog and these people. There's 4 people there with this dog, and they're walking out to New Canterbury Road and walking up. He's legged it up after them. And I'm like sprinting after him, you know, because I know what he's like. And I'm yelling out to these people, literally screaming, stop him, please grab him. I get my head around the corner and I see that none of them have grabbed him or even tried.
Yeah.
He sees me and thinks it's just like a game of tag or chase now. And he's just bolted onto the main road, made it over the first side of the road. But then once he got to the other side, I looked to the left and there's just like a car just coming and just fucking cleaned him up, man. He went under the car. Oh. Like, I thought he was dead, bro. I thought he was dead. This car was going like 60 Ks. I've slammed on the brakes, cleaned him up. He's just gone out of my sight. And then I'm just in the middle of the road, like just fucking screaming and crying. Yeah. Like, I couldn't believe it. And then he manages to crawl out from under the car, ran back over to the park, and then he's just like, you know, adrenaline fueled, like freaking out, wondering what the fuck's going on. So I'm back over in the park trying to get him to come over to me. He wouldn't even come over because he was so frazzled, and then eventually got him straight in the car, rushed him to the vet. They treated him straight away. Like, yeah, he was so lucky, no broken bones. I think he went in between the wheels.
Okay.
So, which was pretty lucky.
Yeah. So, just went under, but not under the actual... not under a wheel.
Not under a wheel, which, like, if he did, I think it would have been a lot worse, you know? But, he ended up... He had, like, stitches in his mouth. He had a huge gash from the bottom of his mouth to the top of his ribs, which was one big, like, burn sort of
just
graze.
Like hectic gravel rash, like road rash.
All over him.
Yeah.
And, like, he was so sore, like, he couldn't even fucking walk. I was, like, carrying him everywhere or whatever. And, man, that was one of the most traumatic things I've experienced. See that, man, like, that really changed me. It really fucking changed the way I feel, the way I think, the way I behave. I don't know. It was just like such a real moment that I couldn't. It's made me like a more cautious person in general, not just with him, but just with everything. I've had a couple near death experiences of my own since I've been in Sydney, man, which have really have impacted the way I behave and the way I look at things and everything.
Like which one? Like tell us.
First one I had, there is a video of it. I was skating a spot
Oh, so crazy.
in Mascot. It's like this really long ledge. And once you land from the ledge, you sort of go down a driveway and it'll open up to whatever the main road is that runs down to the airport in Mascot. I can't remember what that is, but it's like the main road running into the airport.
I know it.
And basically I did a trick on the ledge and then like we were just filming for fun, like on the phones.
Front tail kick you out, right? But the whole ledge, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then, but there were like 5 people like running with me filming. So it was just like a fun thing. Everyone was like, oh my God, he's done it. And then I did like another trick and everyone was just losing it. So I just kept trying to do tricks as far as I could. And then I've made it out to the main road. At this point, I'd probably done 5 or 6 tricks. And then I was like, oh, I'll just do a no comply. Go to do a no comply 180. And then like, you know, when you land, like, the board is like too far out in front of you, so you go backwards.
Yeah.
So like I did that and I've gone backwards, and as I've gone down, I can see a fucking, because I'm on the road, I can see a car coming straight towards me.
Range Rover.
And as I've
Going
rolled,
like 80.
And you're on your back.
I've rolled onto my back, and as I went back, the car just goes zoom, zoom, straight past me.
Like
Probably
meter,
like
what,
yeah,
meter.
yeah, like a meter or less. Probably like a
But it feels like
foot
a
or
foot.
two.
Yeah, like
it was crazy.
It was.
And I was like, obviously, that's an eye-opening, like, real moment. I was like, holy shit, my head nearly just got popped. And then not too long after this, within the same year, I'm out regional New South Wales doing like some workshops, and I had, funnily enough, Lewis, the BMX rider I've talked about, he was actually with me teaching skating because he's a mad skater as well. He can skate really well, and he was working with me. And then we also had Joel, my boss's brother. It was us 3. And I'm driving the van. We're driving into Gloucester, the town was called.
Yep, I know.
And it was kind of like a hill that we were driving in on, and you could sort of see the town. So we're driving in, and then Joel or someone was like, oh, that must be the town down there. So I'm sort of driving, sort of look over to the left for like, you know, a second or two, like enough to see the town, like anyone sort of would catch a glance.
Yep.
And the road was like a slight left bend. And I look back at the road, and there's a fucking 4-wheel drive with a trailer, literally like 50-50ing the lines, like in the middle, coming straight towards us. And I've just gone, holy fuck, pulled the wheel, and our mirrors collided. I was going 90 Ks and they were going 90 Ks, and our fucking mirrors collided. That's how close we were to having a head on. And I literally just saw at the last second enough to pull it. And in the back, we had like 30 skateboards, like the speakers, the marquees, his bike, all this shit. This is all shit that would have just come flying forward and killed us. And,
Heavy.
you know, ended up pulling over, turning around, going up and seeing the dude was like just as frazzled as we were. He had like his wife and kids in the car.
Jeez.
And he said same thing. He's like, oh, I was just looking over at the town and kind of, you know, just swerved. And, dude, those experiences really were fucking eye-opening, and we're like, damn, like shit can happen quick.
Yeah.
Shit can happen real quick. Like, think about what you're doing before you do it all the time. That's what I try to do now, you know? Really assess situations and be aware. And, you know, if you're driving, fucking stay safe. Be observant of what you're doing, because it can happen quick.
Yeah.
Precarious existence we live by.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, I think experiences like that just shape you and make you stronger and smarter, wiser.
What does it make you appreciate the most in life then, if you have that sort of perspective?
I guess, you know, obviously friends and family come first, always. But then after that, it's skating. You know, it's what makes
really okay,
for sure.
Okay, no,
like I don't like anything else more than skating, other than like the love that I have for my friends and my family.
Yeah, no.
Then the skating is the number one thing. So like that's what and then that experience is like, fuck, you need to do some more tricks, bro. You're gonna die. You're gonna have to do some more tricks. Yeah,
I know they're obvious ones, but I feel that more than ever. Like our time is so precious.
Yep.
It's such a cliche,
yep.
but it's it's finite.
Yep.
You know?
Exactly.
It really is
Yeah.
finite. Like, you don't get this back. You don't get these
Yep.
moments back, you know? So.
And I guess I was like first exposed to that at that young age when my dad died, and like I saw the harsh reality of that, and I had to, you know, I sat with those thoughts quite early on, you know, and then it sort of just it shaped who I am and the way I think about things and the way I approach things. And if I'm going to do something, I'm going to give it fucking everything. Because why bother without it? If you're not going to give it everything, then don't even bother.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's a rad way to end. Like, it's a rad message to end on, you know?
Yeah.
But I must admit, funerals, I've learned a lot from going to funerals.
Yep.
I hate to say it, but
Yep.
I
They
learned
fucking suck.
They suck. Mm-hmm. But when you sit there and you watch people reflect on a person's life,
Yeah.
it makes me really consider what's valuable.
Yep,
You know?
yep.
And I've never heard anyone at a funeral say that person had lots of, he owned lots of property that was expensive. Or
No.
had nice cars. And
No.
it was always like, oh, loved a beer with his mates.
Yep. Exactly.
Loved a round of golf. It was his passion. Loved
Yep.
fishing. Like,
Yep. Yeah.
they're the things that everyone's talking. Oh, he was really kind. You know.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
and you know,
That's what matters.
And that's it. Like, and that's why this focus on consumerism and things all the time is just driving misery.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Sorry, I'm a bit philosophical today.
It's good.
It's the bush. But listen, man, I ask all guests to come to the podcast with a cause they want to support or advocate for.
Yep.
So what do you got for us?
I've got the Uganda Skateboarding Society.
Yes.
Absolute legends over there. It's so fucking rad and inspiring to see, like,
Aren't they?
you know, they obviously, you know, they don't have much over there, but they fucking love it. They're happy. They appreciate it. And they're ripping, you know?
Aren't they?
It doesn't, like, it just shows, like, skateboarding, it can be simple. It doesn't need to be, you don't need to be filming video parts. You don't need to be shooting photos. You don't need
It's
to be
inspiring.
skating at an amazing level,
Yeah.
even though those guys are, which is
actually are.
incredible.
Yeah, for what they
But
got.
you don't have to for it to really change your life and to make, like, give you a sense of community, a sense of meaning, you know, which a lot of people don't have. If you're just working a fucking 9 to 5 or just working a trade and your thing on the weekend is just going out and partying and getting fucked up and, you know, that's your cycle, like, you're not going to be that happy, you know. It's like a passion that you can really care about and connect with and make friends with. It's just so much more important, you know.
How sketchy is that skate park they've got?
It's insane.
And they
They destroy it.
They do.
They absolutely destroy it. Like, that roll in is just crazy,
Yeah.
but it's fucking so sick to see.
Yeah.
Steve Tierney was saying in his episode that he was volunteering for Skaterstan. Have you heard them?
Yep, they're sick.
Yeah,
good too.
but he made a really interesting point. He said it's like skateboarding is the in to bring education to these developing communities. But a really interesting one was that, for example, in Afghanistan, women and girls aren't allowed to
Do sport.
do sport.
Yep.
Really?
And
But-
skateboarding's considered a toy, right?
But they don't understand.
Yeah.
They don't know where skateboarding fits, so they're confused. So
Yep.
they can skate.
Yep.
That's awesome.
And
But
then-
they fully have implemented education into it, right? And they have teachers
well,
and
that's what
everything,
they do.
right?
It's like,
Yeah.
come skate. We're going
Yep.
to skate for a while. Then we're going to do some learning.
Yep.
You know, we're going to
Yep.
read some books.
Yep.
And it's just like I got goosebumps thinking about it. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what an amazing conduit for helping other people.
It's rad.
And you're
It's
doing
really
it, man.
rad.
You're doing it
Trying.
with your skate stuff. You're
Trying.
coaching. I don't know, man. So if you scroll down anyway in this episode's show notes, I'll put a link to the Ugandan Skateboarding Society.
Yep.
Follow them on Instagram. I follow them at Epic, and they're so happy.
It's so rad.
And I love that you've picked that. No one's ever picked that one.
Yeah, it's surprising to be
It's a
honest.
rad
Yeah, I thought like, oh, maybe this one's like too obvious or too.
Nah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you scroll down in this episode's show notes, you'll find links to their stuff. And also I'll have some links to how you can, you know, stay in contact with Ben and follow him and just keep an eye on what he's doing in this amazing life that he leads. So thanks, brother.
Thanks, Shannon.
What a
Pleasure to be
pleasure.
here. Thanks for coming out and doing it here. This is sick.
Dude, my pleasure. And thanks, Peter.